The Electoral Commission of South Africa has revealed the 10 independent candidates vying for seats in Parliament. For the first time, voters will be given 3 ballot papers during the May 29 general elections. The Commission received 16 submissions from independents when it closed its candidate registration. Only 10 have made it to the provincial list. 5 independent candidates qualified to contest for the seat in the National Assembly. For more on this now, let's now speak to activist Zackie Achmat, the only candidate from the Western Cape who's vying for a seat in the National Assembly. Zackie, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. Before we speak about your quest to Parliament, tell us about what the weather conditions are like where you're currently at.
Aldrin, it's calmer because I'm closer to the city. I'm in the city, so it's calmer, but the reports I've had from comrades and friends out in the informal settlements sounds like absolute horror, with roofs blown off, houses flattened and so on. So it's painful for people in working class areas, although people in middle class areas are having a tough time too.
Yeah. And one of the reasons actually, Zackie, that you are contesting is to look at the issues that are faced by people who are part of the working class. Tell us about why you've decided to get or vie for a seat in Parliament.
Well, I think I'm a sucker for punishment, but I think, to be serious, Aldrin, I think we're going through one of the most difficult periods in the world, where there's a crisis of trust in political parties, and most importantly, the state is failing working class people. Over the last 7 years, I've worked on PRASA, seeing money being taken, on the other hand, seeing an unwillingness to make sure that local authorities, where you are in Gauteng, the province should take over PRASA. Where I am in the Western Cape, the city should take over PRASA. Because when you're delivering a service locally, the local authorities, the law and the constitution requires it, the local authorities must take care of it. And it's the national government's task and duty to oversee, to see that they do their jobs. And that is why we're having the crisis of people not having water, people not having streets and so on, because national government is not doing sufficient. In fact, it's doing badly at making sure that services are delivered. My platform is very clear. I want to focus on getting commuter rail fixed. Gauteng government, I don't know if you saw a couple of weeks ago, showed that solar and mini grids in Alexandra could power 500 households. If that is upscaled in an informal settlement, if that is upscaled, it really can change the lives of working class people across the country and help lift the burden off the national grid so that it can serve big industry and so on. Mm-hmm. Having said that, SASSA is a big problem for pensioners. When a woman stands in the queue waiting for her child support grant or waiting for a disability grant or a pension, at that point, when she's told to go home and come back the next day, her fear of not getting money, never mind the indignity of queuing, is very big. And we need to move the country towards an universal income grant. But it can only happen if we have a proper SASSA. The third thing is, I've suffered from depression for 50 years or more now, 52 years. What is one of the most underserved areas in healthcare is mental health. And my campaign is, you mentioned in your Benny earlier, it's one of the worst tragedies that has happened. And people don't understand it. The biggest drug problem we have in the country is alcohol substance use disorder, where people will take money for food, will take money for school uniforms, and go and buy alcohol. Will spend half their income, their wages, just to get alcohol, and therefore depriving their families of a slightly better life. And not only that, but it's the causes of domestic violence with children, with women, above all, the stabbings of black men stabbing other black men, or killing people or assaulting people. the whole gamut. What my campaign is focusing on with Youth in Action is to ensure that people get treatment for alcohol. You may not know this, but there's a pill that reduces alcoholism, that gets rid of substance use disorder, obviously with support. Secondly, we need to pass the liquor amendment bills that bans advertising for alcohol and stop selling alcohol around schools. Enyobeni should be waking up people.
Okay, no, you can go with the last point that you want to make.
The last point for me is that if we don't fix the state for the working class, we cannot fix it for anyone else. And so middle class people, even if you're someone who believes working class people should get very little, it is in your interest that the state is fixed for the working class.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Zackie, tell me, with some of the issues that you are raising are issues that some political parties are raising as well. Why, though, do you go the independent candidate route instead of being part of a political party, which could go even further in advancing some of the aspects that you raise, including, for instance, that when it comes to the operations and management of the provincial railway, it must be done by the province itself. The Democratic Alliance is making the same proposal.
Yeah, and if you look at all the other parties, even the ANC supports it because it has been ANC's policies since 1996, and the Constitution says so, and the National Land Transport Act says so. But, I can be on a list of a party and I'll get a good position. But the bigger problem we have, Alvin, is that only 42% of people voted in the last election. Only 22% of people in our country trust political parties. And so literally, when setting up a disability activist forum as part of my campaign, finding that no one wants to listen to a political party, and there's even skepticism about me, no matter what I've done in the past, there's a skepticism, because politicians overall have not ensured that Parliament works. Do you know your constituency MP?
No.
Mine is Michael Bagram of the DA, because of where I live. Every political party has assigned someone to do constituency work, and they get money to do it, and they're meant to do it every Mondays. And then, of course, in recess, when it's recess for constituency work, no politician has done, or very few, probably 3 or 4, maybe 10 if you're lucky, have done any constituency work at all. Yeah. Imagine, as an MP, I have a meeting every Monday with constituents in the evening. During the day, I listen to people. In the evening, I explain, this report is coming to Scopa on commuter rail. What is your view on it? And discuss the report itself with people and make sure that people hold me accountable in that way. That is how I am going to work, and that is a contract I'm signing with people who support me.
Of course, this also means cooperation will be very important amongst the independents as well as the political parties. But I was intrigued also by your response to John Steenhuisen and what he had to say about political parties being mercenaries who want to steal from the Western Cape province.
All I can say is I wish the DA had a leader that could debate policy seriously. I wish the DA had a leader that can hold the ANC seriously accountable, not just shout. And most importantly for me, John Steenhuisen's comments, regrettably, does not understand our Constitution. And it seriously offends me. I disagree with almost every political party on many issues, whether it's Israel and Palestine, whether it is selling every state service off to the private sector. All those things are different. But every party has some really good policies in it. And you want to debate that, especially in the Western Cape. The reason is, okay, the Western Cape does function better than other provinces. Let's not lie in politics. But working class people have suffered enormously in this province. coloured working class people are totally alienated from politics. We now have racists that say, like the Coloured Congress, which I really think you need to give a very hard time to, who say anybody who've come to the Western Cape since 1994 from the Eastern Cape must be sent back there. What sort of thinking is that? So what you want the DA to do is to fight hard against racism, but they can't because they've wolf whistled anti-African racism in the coloured working class for too long. Similarly, you find that the Freedom Front Plus in this province have exactly the same position. Peter Maree, who really, I don't know, let me not be nasty about people, but would say, I don't want to go live in KwaZulu-Natal because that's not my culture. They should not be living here because this is Afrikaans province. Waar kom ons aan hierdie mense? So essentially for me, the need to establish African and coloured working class unity so that we can have a better non-racialism for the whole country is necessary. And if you look at KwaZulu-Natal, there are 3 parties with armed men willing to fight each other for seats in parliament. We cannot afford such instability in the country. And similarly, we cannot afford that sort of instability in the Western Cape. Obviously, it would be much less than that, but certainly the racism we cannot tolerate.
Yeah. Let me quickly ask you on this, Zackie. Of course, there's no condition right now for independent candidates to disclose their funders, but I see that you have gone ahead to do that. And so far, around 5 million rand that has been raised. Still outstanding is a 6 million to get to that 12 million target. Just over 6 million that you're still required to meet that 12 million target. Inga van Reen in Cape Town, South Africa, donated around R1 million. Anthony Salvin from London, United Kingdom, donated another R1 million as well. You're an independent candidate, so you don't have the pressure that comes with political party members, that they are also accountable to their political party and its constitution. So how would a party, or an individual rather, who has voted for Zackie, hold Zackie accountable to ensure that Zackie meets all of the mandates that he has gone out to canvass on, and ensure that he's not influenced by some of these people?
Look, first let me say this. I help establish my vote counts. And I believe that big money plays too large a role in our politics. I am firmly of the opinion that you must disclose. I would love to disclose every cent given to me, because in the first instance, it's about acknowledging contributions, not who's going to influence you. The second reason is critical to show that you're not being influenced. I am signing a contract with Zackie 2024 supporters that says if I don't keep my promises, I can be called in by an ethics committee and warned. I can be suspended without pay. And if I do something egregious, that I can be pushed out of Parliament. Now, this is one of my things. If someone who's given me R1 million, Inga van Reen is one of the most caring women I've ever met. She was a Treatment Action Campaign volunteer who always used to sit in the back. I never, to this moment, I wouldn't believe that she's someone of means who is using money that she got through parents, using that to fund community kitchens, using that to fund Treatment Action Campaign in the past, now helping to fund my campaign, but making sure that my money is spent correctly. I believe that you must not vote if something is favorable only to the area of money donated to you, by the person, their interests, whether it's property interests or so on. You must vote in the interest of working class people. If it's just a support business thing, you must abstain. You must abstain, because otherwise you're not. I want to work in Parliament with any MP of integrity. I want to bring people's voices into Parliament. I want to ensure that My job is not making speeches in the National Assembly. Julia said, I find my work very boring. I love the boring work because the boring work is what Parliament should be doing. Yeah. The discourse that Parliament should be having is how we're going to pay for a universal basic income grant. That's what I want to do.
Okay.
And when it comes to funding, I'm open.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.